Welcome everyone to the IPVM Design Calculator live stream for July of 2022. My name is Sean Patton. I am the product manager of the IPVM calculator and also a reporter for IPVM. And today we're going to take a look at the calculator, some of the new features, some of the sort of core functionality of the calculator. And we would like to make this very interactive. We have the next hour open, certainly where I have a bunch of sort of demo and presentation stuff to go through. But certainly if you have any questions, if there's things you want to see, make sure you use the live stream chat to put any questions and answers. It'll also help us respond if we have a report we can post to. We can definitely use that live stream chat. So make sure you are connected to the live stream chat and you can see the questions other people have asked. I will look into the Zoom Q&A if for whatever reason you are connected directly to Zoom, but otherwise I'm going to mostly be watching the IPVM chat. Okay, so here we are with the IPVM Design Calculator. So this is a tool used for system design. And most recently, we added in a bunch of new devices that can be added to your design. At its core, and historically, it has been a camera calculator or camera-based design system, but we have added in new devices, including network closets, generic cable drops, PC workstations, etc., which is to help you make a little bit of a more accurate, a more complete design in terms of the overall security system. And a big part of that was adding in network cabling. And so now we do have cameras that can be connected to a network closet, and you can have multiple cameras connected to your network closets. And now again, understanding of full system design, we're going to give you cable length per camera and total cable length for the different devices that are connected. And so those are some of the big new fundamental changes that we have added to the calculator recently. We're going to start off and take a look at a brand new design. So this is, this may be, for a very small system, sort of where you end up being, at some point with your system design. But let's start off with a new project. So I'm going to make a new project. I'm going to add a name for it. So IPVM July 2022. I'm going to add a name. I'm going to change my location. So right up here at the top, you can do change location, and you can then start to type in a address, location, etc. For whatever location you want to do your system design in. I'm going to see if I can, and all the IPVM employees are probably super mad. There we go. I found it. So this is the IPVM headquarters in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. So I was able just to do a search, type in the address, and it will come up. And you'll see that this is using Google Maps. So this is the Google Maps API is the baseline for the all the sort of visual interface for the calculator. You can switch to different map types in the lower left-hand corner. So we have satellite views, we have a standard like map with street name views, and then we have a blank view that just gives you just what it is. It's a blank workspace that you can add floor plans or other things into just for system design. So we're going to jump back into satellite and start adding in some of our cameras. So I'm going to add in a camera, and let's say we want to do some parking lot coverage here. I'm going to add a camera here, and we're just going to do an exterior coverage plan. Again, not specifically for any application in general, just going to try and do some generic coverage. There might be some blind spots and stuff in here, but I hope everyone gets the idea that we're just trying to get some things here for example. So we're going to add our cameras in. So it's just the upper left-hand corner, add your camera. It's going to add that camera in, and now we have coverage. And so we're going to have a whole list of the cameras in the project. So we can see, we have our 6 cameras here, 1 through 6. here's the coverage areas, and and that could be as simple as that. And so I have my cameras laid out, and I could take this and I could export this project, and we'll take a look at a little bit more details on exporting in a little bit once we have a little bit more of a project. But I could at this point take this project, export a PDF, and provide this layout and these details to the customer. I could also share this project as a hyperlink, so I can copy it and email it to someone. They can open up that link, and now they're going to have that project available. Now, one thing to be aware of is that if they then make any changes, so if you share this with a customer and then they make some changes, say, you know what, I want this camera over at this corner looking this way. This is just a copy of the project. This is not a direct link to the project. So my existing project that I have that I shared will stay the same. This is a copy of the project. And so any changes they have, aren't going to be reflected in yours. So they would have to make changes, share that project back, and maybe go back and forth. That is something we are going to be updating in a future update, probably looking at early 2023, where we're going to have certainly much better project collaboration as it comes to the calculator. And Josh mentions access control. Good morning. Can't wait till you add access control. And Wes agrees, yes to access control. Access control is coming. That is our next major update. Tentatively looking at fall, probably later fall of this year. But that is our primary dev development for anybody who is interested or curious about that. We have just some high level details. Let's see if I can find the report in. Let's see. Just bear with me for 1 second. I can't find the link to it, but we are going to be adding access control to the calculator. So if somebody could pull that up, maybe Ryan or Kian, somebody who's connected, and throw that into chat, we are going to be adding access control. Any way to share existing way to share between group members? There is not. So one of the things to understand about these projects is these are your projects. So any of these projects, if I go into my all projects rather than the new one, I can go to all projects and I can open these up. And these are only my projects. Only my account has access to any of these projects anywhere. So you will even find out that, let's say you have a problem with a project or you need tech support and you reach out to support@ipvm.com or info@ipvm.com. We're going to have to ask you for the project permalink because we can't get into your projects or see what's going on in your projects. And that is both a security measure and unfortunately a limitation to, if you want to share this with, if you're an engineer doing design for a bunch of salespeople, you can't just give them access to your projects. That is something that we are going to be adding and is going to be a core part of the functionality of project collaboration. I've had issues with the Google Maps zoom. It's only possible to use in major cities in my country. In Indonesia, can you add a manual zoom? So that's something that we get from time to time. It is not necessarily something that we can add or are going to be adding, but definitely. So the question from Sean is related to, there's a maximum zoom depending on what we get from the Google Maps API. And so you'll see the map view is always going to have more zoom power in general than the satellite view. And in rural areas, and it's getting better in the United States, certainly, but in rural areas, there are often higher limitations, or I guess less zoom capability than there might be in urban areas. Again, the US is getting certainly much better than other parts of the world, but that is a limitation. And so there's really nothing we can do or we're looking to add. There is some possibility of a manual zoom, I will say, Sean, but it's not something that we're really focusing on right now in terms of features or capabilities. What our recommendation is, if you have access to higher resolution images, so what people will often say is, well, if I go to Google Maps, then I'm going to see, I can see in farther and I have more resolution when I'm on Google Maps versus what I see in the calculator. And that's because we only get access to whatever Google gives us access to. And so if we don't have access to it, then in the calculator, then we can't give it to you. So if you have a higher level of zoom than what we are providing in the calculator, what you can do is take a snapshot from Google Earth. And I'm going to save this file. And I'm going to okay. And now I can take this to the calculator and I can even go on my blank type and I'm going to add a floor plan. I'm going to browse. Okay. And now I'm going to upload this image to the calculator. And now I can scale this. This is going to be a little bit more difficult being exterior. I'm going to just make a guess here. This is and 20 foot. Okay. And so now we can auto scale and have our floor plan. So if you can get higher quality imaging, then you can upload that as a floor plan and then zoom in to the image that much closer. So that's sort of our workaround. If you do have limitations of what you can see in the calculator, then you can take a snapshot, whether it's from Google Maps or if you have drone imagery or something like that, and you can upload that image and then get in the blank view a higher level of zoom. So thank you. Thank you. That's a good question. I hope that works. Okay, that will work. Thanks. Good. Well, that's good to hear, Sean. Let me delete that. Okay, so is there specific cameras to be selected? Also change the field view to match respective camera specifications. Absolutely. Will you be including indoor examples in this course? Yes. I would also stress that we do have courses. This is not really something where we're organized as much as one of our courses, but yes, during the live stream, we will take a look at some interior floor plan options as well. So specific cameras, great question. And one of the most powerful things that we have in the camera calculator. And so we have right now, all of our 6 cameras are generic cameras. And with these, you can do just what it sounds like. You can calculate what your PPF is going to be depending on the resolution of your camera, the distance away from the camera, and the field of view of the camera. So with the generic camera, it's sort of, make your own fantasy camera. So let's say I want a 20 megapixel camera and I need a 130-degree field of view. And now I can see, well, I need to capture 100 feet from the camera. And let's see what we get out of it. And we're going to get 24 pixels per foot. And so in an ideal daytime image, this is what a person's going to look like at 20, what the person's face is going to look like at 24 pixels per foot. It's not great. Maybe if you know the person, you can identify it. If you're trying to do license plate recognition, that's going to be very difficult at 24 pixels per foot. And if you want to see at what range, you're more comfortable with the, where you would identify someone. So maybe, visually somewhere in the 72 PPF range. you can do that. You can just sort of drag and drop. Now, if you also know, listen, the analytic that I use needs 100 pixels per foot, then I can hit 100. And now, okay, my facial recognition, I know will work at 24 feet with a 20 megapixel camera and a horizontal angle of view of 130 degrees. So you can use it to calculate and find those distances. However, that isn't necessarily accurate or useful because there may not be a camera that's 20 megapixels with a 130 degree field of view. So what we offer is at this point, 10,252 cameras. We have filters for NDAA or all cameras. So we will filter out any sort of Hikvision, Dahua, Huawei chip using high silicon chip using OEMs. So we can filter by NDAA cameras or all cameras. We have upwards of 13,000, including end-of-life cameras, but we do go through periodically and remove end-of-life cameras. And so we can exclude those and get to that 10,252. Does your camera tool do project cost estimating? If no, any plans for this? Not right now, Dwayne. That's something where we've actually talked about, and we had some internal sort of notes and things to look at for maybe integrating our project data or where it could be exported and loaded into a project estimating tool. But right now it is really for bill of material building, but not necessarily, pricing or cost estimation, et cetera. What about installation height? Is that factored in or recommended? Yep, we'll take a look at installation height in just a couple seconds. And so we have a bunch of filters that you can use. So let's say, we know we want a dome camera, then we can filter by dome cameras. You'll also see here, we have some favorites and recents that are also filtered in. And so anything with a little sort of clock symbol are ones that you've used in multiple recent projects. So I can come in here and select this camera. This one is, we're not really filtering any specific resolution, IR ranges, field of view, etc. Or if I know I'm looking for a specific model, I can come in and search for a 12.0, and then because I have my dome filter on, it's going to filter it down to this Avigilon camera. If I turn my dome filter off, I can then search for other models. So I can do an 8.0, or I can do a P3225 or 27. There we go. Here we go. There's a 25. Oh, those are marked as end of life. So you'll see as we start to type in, the details will get updated per the text input sort of real time. So as we go in and start typing in more fields, then that data is going to be in there. Because I have P3 typed in, it's filtered down to, and I select Hanwha cameras, then it has the those Hanwha cameras listed. If I go, start to type in QND, then now I can see some of these QND. So I'm just going to select one of these cameras. I'm going to grab this one for no particular reason. And now we'll see someone asked about, the field of view. So now rather than having just sort of an open text input, I have this slider bar where I can adjust my field of view based on the specifications of the camera. I can also grab these little dots here and adjust that field of view right this way. I can also, again, drag my person out and see, at a distance of almost 100 feet, we're going to get 16 pixels per foot with this 5 megapixel camera. And so again, that may not be the coverage you're looking for. So now you can look to, put a different camera there, or I'm going to do a narrower field of view, etc. And so maybe I say, okay, well, I'm going to just go narrower on my field of view. So I'm going to get my, 50 PPF that I need. And that's about as close as I'm going to get. I'm a little bit under, but you know what? I really just want to look at any vehicles that are entering over here. So I don't that's what my target's going to be. Now, someone asked about height. We can take a look at blind spot, because one of the challenges of this is once you have the camera, at a certain height and it's looking at a narrow field of view, you're going to end up with a blind spot underneath the camera. And so we do have blind spot option. And so we're going to set our camera height to 15 feet. It is exterior. And we're going to now set a scene height. So at where the person is at the far edge of the field of view, I am looking for vehicles. So I'm going to keep my scene height at 10, so I can maybe make sure I capture the whole truck that's coming in. And now I can do show camera blind spot. And now we can actually see that, this is the distance to blind spot is 32 feet from the camera is where the field of view will hit the ground. So that doesn't mean necessarily if you have someone that's 6 feet that are standing within this blind spot, at some level, you will be able to see them. Their head will be within this blind spot zone, but we do this conservatively just to say that, that is where the blind spot is going to be. Again, there will be some margin in here, but we'd rather say that this is where it's going to be, or this is where the challenge is going to be, where we're going to have blind spots, underneath the cameras here versus, being maybe less conservative and being more aggressive on what it's going to see. We can say, okay, there's going to be a blind spot within this area. Anyway, your feature capability to give thumbnail examples of image at specific or multiple distances instead of the maximum only. The tool gives 3 color-coded resolution areas, but not always obvious to a customer. That's a really good point. And that's something that definitely we can look into. So what what Doug mentioned is that we do have different PPF zones within here that have different colors, or different shading, not different colors, for depending on what each zone is. And so the default is 100, 50, and then 10 PPF. And so these are areas based on our testing where we often see facial recognition, license plate recognition, and then people in vehicle detection ranges. But I think that's a pretty good point, that's not necessarily clear to the customer. So I think that is something that we can definitely look to design or add into our exports. So maybe that is a little bit more clear. But ultimately, that is going to show us, again, where our blind spots are based upon that camera height and down tilt. So if you say, okay, well, that's fine. I need to decrease my tilt to shrink my space. It's only going to let you shrink it so far down that, again, basically I'm still capturing that distance, but now I'm at a very low scene height, but I did close up my distance to blind spot. And so, there is some adjustability as well for your blind spot, but realistically, that's going to tell you if I want less of a blind spot, I need a wider field of view, which is going to close that down, but then also negatively impact my PPF or PPM, depending on where you are. Does the report distinguish between camera and camera quantities, considering multiple sensor camera channel counts? Absolutely. And I was just about to jump in to multi-imagers. So right here on this corner, so we have our 3 cameras here. We'll take a look at, certainly the popularity of multi-imagers has been strong for many years now, or at least for the last 3 to 4 years. And so we do have multi-imager cameras, multi-sensor cameras in the design calculator. So we have a sort of a range of them from different manufacturers. And again, we're updating them, as we go, as new options are released. We have, 2 imager multi-imagers. We have 4 imager multi-imagers. We also have some that are multi-imagers with PTZs connected. So we have a 2 imager count with repositionable with PTZ. So we have again a wide range of different multi-imagers that are available. So I'm going to select this camera. And so we have now this camera model has the 4 repositionable independent imagers within this same camera. And so I can take now this one camera and position my 4 imagers to get my parking lot coverage. And so this, again, if we look at our project items, we're going to have our single camera, but it is going to have the 4 imagers independent of each other. So it does distinguish. You will get in this type of camera, when we take a look at the report, these imagers will be exported or reported as their own cameras. So it will sort of separate them out and distinguish them as separate cameras. Some of the other basic things we can do with the calculator is you can do some things like change your camera color. So if you have different color coding that you want for specific cameras, whether it's camera model or area or whatever you're looking for some differentiation, you can change camera colors. That's pretty open to again these 6 different camera color options. And so again, we have multi-imagers. There are fisheye cameras. We have PTZs, domes, boxes, etc. So we could load in a PTZ camera. Right, and then we'll see a PTZ is going to again have all those controls as far as our pre-programmed, with options for the lens, and then it is also going to see you'll see it might be a little difficult to see through Zoom. I'll switch over to like a map, go to a blank view. You can see the PTZ will have sort of a gray window that shows that it is a PTZ, as well as we actually have different camera icons for different types of cameras. So if we take a look at like the multi-imager, it has a little M on it for multi-imager. Dome cameras look like domes, and the PTZ looks like a little bit of a PTZ. If you don't want those options, you can go into project option and you can use simple icons, which is sort of more of the CAD view. It's just going to look like a box camera. However, the multi-imager is going to look a little bit different, where it is just a big round circle because there's really no sort of simple way to show the multi-imager. Google Maps does not yet provide views of private spaces, possible to upload photos to use for simulated view. Absolutely. Great question, Max. Can the final design be exported to CAD or Revit? Not currently. So we offer formats. Oops, need to do that. We offered formats of PDF, Word docs, PowerPoint, and CSV, as well as zip, which is basically just a collection of snapshots. And so we don't have like a DWG or some sort of vector style export at this point. It is something that is on sort of our radar to do, but again, adding access control is the #1 priority. Certainly looking at other ways that we can that people can use the software with other software pieces, is something we are considering moving forward. Okay, let's see. Any other questions? I think that was everything so far. So someone asked about uploading your own images for simulated view. Absolutely. So let's look at, so this is an exterior design is kind of what we're looking at first. Now let's look at, we went over adding a floor plan, but let's add in a different floor plan in. Give me 1 second to pull up my floor plans later. Here we go. So I'm going to pull in a floor plan. We support JPEG, BMP, and PNG software. And it's going to, we are going to have a max of 5 megabits. And it's going to just do a check, and it's 5,000 by 5,000 pixel limitation. So we're going to do an upload. Again, we went over scaling earlier. I could scale this. I'm just going to drag and drop. It's not even the right space anyways. So let's just do this. Yeah, I can't deal with that. Let's just scale it. I can't take that close enough. And I'm going to do 3 feet is a door, scale it. And hey, I was pretty close. I'm going to rotate it so it's somewhat square, even though it's not square. And I'm going to lock it in the upper right-hand corner. So now it's locked, so I can't drag it, move it, etc. Will you be adding an indoor fisheye to your scene collection? Absolutely. Great question, Josh. That is something that has been on my radar that we have an issue to update and fix. And we're going to take a look at simulated views right now because it is something that we need to do. We actually, so it's been a little bit longer now. We did update our exterior fish eye scenes. We're actually going through and going to be updating most of these at this point. So within our interior cameras, so we can, same exact process that we have for what we've done already. We can add our cameras, we can adjust what they're looking at, etc. If you do use a lot of the same cameras, you can right click on any camera and duplicate it. So now I just duplicated this camera. I'm going to right click and delete it because I actually want to duplicate this camera. So we have a dome camera here, and I can drag around and move it and maybe bring my field of view a little bit wider. So I shrink down my blind spot. Sorting the camera list by IP rating would be a good feature. Yeah, IP rating is not something that we necessarily have in the calculator consistently. So that is not necessarily something that is likely, unfortunately. Okay, we're going to duplicate this multi-imager, and we're going to put that multi-imager in an obnoxious area here and just get a whole bunch of coverage from this interior camera. Okay. There we go. Okay, so now we have our interior coverage. Actually, I'm going to add a couple more cameras. And you'll start to see that it gets very busy pretty quickly. And so what we added or later last year is the option to put walls in the system. And so I'm going to put my cameras here, and it's really busy. It's kind of hard to see. So we're going to come in here and we're going to add a wall. And you can definitely do this much neater than I am about to, but we can now go through here and drag and click and draw our walls in. And I'm going to click to finish. And so now we have our walls. Again, that one's not really that accurate, but you get the idea. I'm going to draw some more walls. Let's get these interior walls here. So now I can add walls to our design to, again, make it that much more accurate. We have sort of snapping to walls. So if you're near the wall, it'll automatically snap to it. And then we can draw to the other side. It snaps to it. And then we close it up. And so now we can definitely clean up our design to basically have it be more accurate. So the coverage from this camera obviously doesn't go into these offices. The coverage from these ones, let me draw a few more walls here just to clean this up a little bit as well. It's certainly not going to cover any exterior there. And so relatively quickly, you can get a much cleaner, much more accurate design look as it pertains to, some interior cameras just by building in those walls. And again, we can switch over to our map view to get a little bit quicker zoom or closer zoom. And if you want to adjust your walls, then you can take this and let's click our corner, move our wall. So you can do some fine adjustment as well if you want to take a little bit more time to do that. So once we have our office area set to go, someone asked about the simulated view. So there are some stock scenes that are located. There's even, for people that don't realize, if you don't want the simulated view, if you just want it blank, you can select just that white view, and that'll just be sort of a blank stock scene. And when we have some default ones, we have, a hallway that you could say is pretty similar to that. Or let's say we have one for this camera. I'm going to switch to this entrance lobby, this office lobby. So you can set in those simulated views. You can also add your own scene. So if I go and take a picture, then I can choose my image and upload my own scene for that every specific camera that I have. For fisheye camera, somebody asked, we do, for stock scenes, we do only have exterior fisheye views. We have both like 180 or a 360 view, but we do not have indoor ones. Again, that is something we are working on and we will have available in a little bit. So we have our exterior or interior scenes. So again, you come in here, add your own scene. Now with the, there's also a phone version of the calculator. And so let me do this really quick. So just for the sake of this demonstration, you have to pretend that this is my iPhone. And so if it's mad because I opened it in another project. Okay, so it's just going to keep bouncing back. Let me, all projects, let me open the copy. Okay. All right, open project, regular one. Okay, so if I have my camera, I can, on my phone, I can select my camera. Oh, this is the old project. That's why my things aren't there. So I'll just select this one. So now I have this camera on my design on my iPhone. I can select the view. So I select the camera, hit view, go to change scene. Now, if I click on this or if I tap on this upload scene on my phone, now it's going to open up my camera on my phone to take a picture of the actual field of view. So as you're going through doing a system design, you can run the calculator on your phone, add your camera in, place it on the map wherever it's going to be, select my model or select my view, change scene, and then upload scene and take a picture. It's obviously not going to give me the option while I am on my desktop. So yeah, that is another great way and another really helpful part of the designer, so you can actually take those scenes rather than using the stock scenes that we have loaded, upload your own scene using your camera. Otherwise, you can take the pictures and upload them after the fact and sort of do it that way as well. But the phone calculator is something that I don't know if a lot of people realize there's no app to download. There's nothing. You just go on your phone, go to calculator.ipvm.com, and it's going to open up this different field, this different view. So it's responsive to the browser, the screen size that you are connected on. What about walls that are not floor to ceiling? Any way to adjust wall height? Wall height is not something we have. Walls, as we have it, are all floor to ceiling. It's something we have talked about, but we do not have any sort of like height or 3D sort of aspect to walls. Okay, can you recommend a way to work with the floor to snip, scale it, especially with an odd shape? We'd select to work with the exterior of the building image. Yeah, upload the floor plan that has a transparent background outside the image or outside the building. There is an option. So Seth was mentioning there is an option to keep transparency. Let me see if I have a floor plan that I can use as an example. I don't think I have a quick one that would work, or let me try this one. This may not work. Yep, there we go. So you can also upload a full floor plan, with transparency where it's going to, that one didn't work anyways. But you could upload a full floor plan that's, much larger and has like the exterior parking lots, etc. I'm not exactly sure. Doug, what I would recommend is you reach out to me or Seth, and we can look at a specific example, because there might be a feature or something that we want to add to the designer that could be helpful to you, could certainly be helpful to everybody else. So so now we have our cameras added, we have our design, we have our walls loaded. The next thing we can look at is adding in network closets. So if we want to have all of our cameras cabled, and we know in this situation, everything is going to go to a single closet here, then we can place it in that closet. And now I'm going to start to draw cabling to my devices. So in my network closet, I just hit draw cabling, and I'm going to draw it out and draw my cabling. Now you might say, okay, but this isn't really the way the cable is going to run. Well, we do give you some dots that you can grab onto to do a little bit of a better cable path to what's actually connecting. You can also come in here and from the camera side, connect to network closet 1, and it's going to do a direct connect to it. So it'll do that straight line. The other option we have, I was kind of doing the straight line. If we do draw cabling to device, I can click here and then click there. And so I can sort of draw my path out a little bit better. Now that this one's connected, it's going to say it's already cabled. That one's already cabled. That one's already cabled, etc. But if I know my cable path sort of goes down the hallway here, I can click, move it down the hallway, and now it's going to go to that camera. And I'm going to go here, and I'm going to move it down the hallway. And let's go to this multi-imager here across. Oh, that one already is cabled. So now I'm going to go to my PTZ in the corner. So you can quickly either just snap to the cameras that are there. And I think I got everything. Let's just do a quick check. I feel like something's missing because it didn't tell me. Here we go. Okay, so now that I did that last one, it says all devices cabled. So it'll sort of do a check for you. It won't necessarily say which one isn't connected, but it will at least give you a hint when you're on the network closet that there is one left to be cabled. And then again, once I have it, if I do a direct connect, I can also just drag my cable. And so now from the network closet side, I can see all the cameras that are cabled to it. We actually have the cables which will match the camera colors that are connected. And you'll also see when I have just one camera highlighted, it's only going to show the cable from that one camera. If I want to see all the cables, I can click here, and now I can see all my cables are there. I can click on one of the cables if I want to, again, sort of fix the path that I have drawn previously. So you have some flexibility. In addition to, and you probably saw it when I clicked on the dropdown, we have other network connected devices. So if you just want a generic cable drop, let's say you're doing a system design and they want you to account for some network, just extra drops in each office, then I can come in here and I can add in my cable drops for each office. Let's say I have 2 network closets here, and there's a network closet there and there's one over here. I can use my cable drop to also account for, let's say I have an inner closet connection. I can draw my cabling and connect there. So now I at least have that cable drop calculated for my inter-closet connections. If I have things like PCs, workstations, public view monitors, phones, wireless access points is something that we added in. Again, this is just a generic network device. It is not going to be something where we're doing like for the sake of a wireless access point. We're not doing channel planning or anything like that. We do give some text fields. You can change the color, and you can say that this is a Cisco, AP, 5000, whatever. So you can create wireless network points that, again, are just part of that design in location. So I can duplicate it. And let's say I need one in this office here, and I can duplicate that. So we can start to make more complete overall system designs. Again, this isn't doing your channel planning or your path loss or anything for your wireless. but it can be at least more useful if you know your technicians have to go and wire for these APs along with, the cameras, an intercom, let's say an intercom in a conference room. You can have that wired, ready to go. If you have a monitoring station, so at reception they have a PC, we can add that one in. Well, for whatever reason, we'll wire this one over to here. So all of those things are optional. We can also then disconnect this one. Let's say we have that network closet there. We're going to disconnect it there, and then we're going to reconnect that cable there. So all these other devices are, more generic. Oh, if we even want the recorder. So let's say the NVR is going to go in this closet. It's labeled an office, but we're going to call it a closet. We can add a recorder in. So all those things can now be sort of factored in within the system design. And if we go to our closets, we can see the devices that are connected. We need 1,500 feet for that closet. We need 272 feet. Now, we don't give a total project. If you have multiple closets, it is a per closet length that is available for each. So just be aware of that as well. We do not right now give a total project length. So that's sort of our full system design. As I mentioned earlier, and we sort of demonstrated earlier, you could then share this project and you could email or text somebody a link to this project. And now they could come in here and they could see the system design that you came up with, et cetera, see all the cameras, the layouts, the fields of view, blind spots, all those things. What is certainly more common is then to take this project and export it. And so we're going to click export. And as I mentioned earlier, there's some different file formats that are available. This is something that certainly over the next year, we're going to be improving. It is on our roadmap to improve the exports in terms of being more operationally focused in terms of whatever you're doing. So sort of a sales export, a bill of materials export, a presentation export, et cetera, versus them being just effectively the same with different file formats. Can you provide different layers, one that shows cabling, other that shows camera views, et cetera? That's something we can kind of do, and but we don't necessarily do them in layers. We do have are some options in project options where we can show we can clear all of our views from the cameras. So we can go no views. And then if you highlight the network closet, then it'll just show your cable path versus you can then go all cameras. You can also do selected camera. So it will only show the one camera that I have selected, which then, only shows that field of view and that cable for that camera. So there are some options there. They're not necessarily what you would consider, layers necessarily. It's more of what is visible on the scene. So even things like the different gradient PPF zones, which are on by default, it's something if you want maybe a little bit more basic, you can come in and turn those off. And since we're here, we looked at the simple camera icons earlier. We also have unit of measurement. So if you want imperial versus metric, then you can make those adjustments right here. It is going to default effectively based on where the IP is that you are logged in. So if you're logged in within the US, it's going to default to imperial. Other locations, it is going to default for metric. So good question, Doug and Lance. But so actually, Doug, there's no way for multi-floor buildings to sort of layer those things. You would have more or less our recommendation for multi-floor buildings is you're going to use a blank floor plan and you're going to add, multiple floor plans for each floor. And so I'm going to have, one for that floor. Here's my second floor. And I'm just going to have floor 1, floor 2, floor 3, et cetera. On the field of view. Now, to keep those straight, we do have some other things we didn't really look at yet, like labels. So if you want to, label this one as ground floor. Then you can label each one, change your size, coloring, etc. Of the label. So if you do have multiple floors, we don't necessarily handle like a truly sort of layered system, for different floors. We do sort of look at, you would have to have basically, different floor plans for each one. Yeah, let's go. Let's see if I can move it. There's too much stuff in the way. I can't get it. It's under too many things. All right. So yes, no, we do. The long and short of it is that we do not support multi-layer projects. So just be aware of that for sure. Will access to your design calculator remain free or included with your basic membership? Any a la carte pricing to come for various features? We don't expect for how it exists now. So that's a complicated question, Max, to be frank. What's in there now will be included with the basic membership. For free, there is also access to it for free for very limited projects. So you can certainly, even to sort of demonstrate it for people. So I'm not currently logged in. This is sort of just in incognito mode, and I can add some cameras in. However, for free, you only get the 2 cameras. You can do some basic camera calculation, sort of what it was originally intended for free. What we have talked about, and we have not figured out, these are not concrete plans, but some things we have discussed is depending on your level of subscription, you may not get all of the project collaboration features, or maybe not access. If we do, let's say we do, just for example, an integration to Revit or D tools or something like that, we would probably look at a higher level subscription. It may not be our current research tier. It could be something else where we did have a higher level subscription for, advanced integrations to, third-party systems and those types of things. But effectively where we are at is everything that's in the calculator now. If you have the Info Plus subscription, all of this stuff is going to be added in. Access control is going to be available. All those things should be available, for the core product. It's only when we've now started to look at some more advanced integrations and capabilities and features where we start to say, okay, what are these things, just to be able to develop them and support them and keep them going over the long term. What other sort of tiers may we have to consider to be able to afford to develop and support those things over the long term. So there will always be a free version, but the free version is certainly limited. It will always be included with the basic membership, and we are looking at, almost as a bonus for even those that are signed up at the research service, is what are some of those advanced types of things that we aren't doing now that we can do that 99% of users don't need, but the ones that do want some more advanced features are willing to pay for it. So that's the overall project. So as I mentioned, we do have exports. So we'll take a look at just a couple different exports right now. So you can export it as a PDF, as a PowerPoint. We'll take a look at CSV because I like that export is super helpful as well. And so we'll see it's going to export our project. How does JVSG compare to your product? It's very similar. It is, they do have some 3D features that we do not offer. Some of the 3D tools that they have a lot of things that we offer in terms of specific camera models and camera calculation. It is not a, and I could definitely be wrong on the overall sort of sales or go-to-market aspect. If you buy JVSG, like you're buying a system design tool. If you subscribe to IPVM or you use the IPVM designer, you get a lot of other different things with IPVM that you don't get with JVSG. But you get maybe some things like 3D design with JVSG that you don't get with the calculator. So they're just two very different businesses. Is for one, JVSG, at least last I checked, is it's an upfront pay a few to 500 to whatever. You pay hundreds of dollars upfront, certainly more than 1 year subscription for IPVM, but then IPVM you're subscribing to, so you're going to have to keep paying for it if you want to use the designer. But you're also getting all the reporting and testing and other things we do. So it's hard to compare everything because our companies are very different. But certainly from a functionality standpoint, there's some things that we do very similarly, and there's some things that we do differently. Ours is completely web-based. It's just different. So I was and am a JVSG user, and again, there's things that we look at certainly that they do, and there's things that I'm sure they look at what we do to take a look at what features, what things can we add, what do we like, don't like, etc. So this is our PowerPoint. This is probably my favorite export of all the formats. Is the PowerPoint export, because it just gives you the option to change names and add in your own logos and these types of things in PowerPoint. I also like that it is one camera per page as well. So there's a lot of advantages. Again, to me, the PowerPoint export is my favorite. It's going to give you per page, each camera, the camera name. Now the multi-imagers, you'll see it'll say imager 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's going to have all of those sort of individually organized. Then we're going to have our wireless access points. So all of our sort of generic devices will come after. So we have our cable drops, wireless access points. Here's our intercom, workstations. And then at the bottom, we're going to have our network closets. And so this is going to have network closet 1, devices, 1 through 15. It's going to show them there. And then it's going to show our other 4, 16 through 19 are going to be there. And then our network closet 2 is its own export that's going to have each device and the distances or the lengths for each one of those network drops. So I really like the PowerPoint export. Again, I think it's one of the better ones we provide. You can do it in a PDF, which again is often what I would do is export to a PowerPoint when I was an integrator and then save it as a PDF, because obviously you can't edit this. It's going to have really no cover page. You can't edit this easily, but it will have your overview, and then each camera is going to be it's going to be 2 cameras per page, which is fine. It's a little bit more compact, which could be good. But again, I kind of prefer the 1 camera per page format, but it's going to have all the same details, same information, cable drops, intercom, and then your network closet exports after that. And then lastly, we're going to look at, we also provide a really good CSV export, where it's going to have every single camera. For if I have make and model specified, it's going to have those. It's going to have our resolutions, all those details. It's going to have our cable lengths per camera. And then we also have our other devices with their cable lengths, and then a network closet export, as well as some cable export. So there's a lot of detail from a technical standpoint. What I used to do when I was an integrator, and I would use this with our technicians, I would then put, a column for serial number, and I would put IP address, and I would say, server name. And so as they started to install cameras, they could go through and, fill out whatever the serial number was, the IP address, and then the server name, And now they could have, for a lot of integrators, sure, you have a tool, you have, some sort of interface where they can start to put that information in. I found when I worked for smaller integrators, this was just an easy way to take those system designs that the engineering's doing, get a quick export in a CSV in an Excel file, and then hand that right over the technicians, where the technicians are going to go from PDF and, saying, yep, camera 1, camera 2, et cetera, is here. And it's going to have, I'm going to make sure I have the right model. It's going to have the right serial number, IP address, et cetera, and have all those details ready to go. So that's the export. Again, there's other things certainly we did not take a full dive into, but that touched on a lot of the features and system design that you can do within the calculator. If you have any questions, if you need any follow-up, you can always reach out to me. Again, my name is Sean. I am the product manager of the calculator. It's Sean@ipvm.com. Email me. Let me know if you need any help. We will find whether I'm the right resource or we need to get our developers involved. If you have any product ideas, etc., please reach out and let us know. So that's going to be the hour. I'm going to stop the recording, but I'm going to stick around. If you have any more questions, feel free to stick around and I can go over anything else. Thank you, everyone, for the questions today and for stopping in. Thank you. Great. Thank you, Max. I'm glad that was helpful. Doug, everybody, Dwayne that was here asking questions, I definitely appreciate it. Again, if you have anything else, now is the time. I'll stick around for a couple minutes, but otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you, Philip. Thank you, Sean. All right. Well, with that being said, I don't see any other questions coming in. So everyone enjoy the rest of your day. And yeah, thank you very much for joining.